Hello everybody, Sorbitten here and welcome back to another past paper practice video. In this video, we'll be tackling some vectors question. So let's head straight into the first question. Let's not waste any more time. So this question says, the coordinates of the vertices of the triangle PQS are P is equal to 1, 5, Q is equal to 4, negative 1, and S is equal to 6, 0. So the question is, write down the position vectors PQ and PS. So we want the position vectors that will give us PQ and PS. So let's go. So PQ, so in order to get the vector PQ, we start from P and we go to O, and then we move from O and we go to Q. So we need to find the vector PO. So in order for us to find PO, we know we can find OP. The vector OP is simply equal to, since this is the coordinate P, from the origin to P would simply be the same thing, but you just write it as 1, 5. And then for OQ, we know it will be from the origin to Q, which will be just this here, and we just write it as 4, negative 1. And then if OP is equal to this, then that means PO would simply be equal to negative 1, negative 5. So the vector PQ will be PO, which is negative 1, negative 5, plus OQ, which is 4, negative 1. So this will then be negative 1 plus 4 and negative 5 plus negative 1. And hence this will be negative 1 plus 4 would be a positive 3, and negative 5 plus a negative 1, they say return it to a minus, so negative 5 minus 1 would be a negative 6. So PQ is equal to that. And the next thing they want us to find PS. So PS would be, in order to get the vector PS, we start from P and we go to O. And then this would we go from O and then we go to S. So we already have the vector PO. Now we need a vector OS. So we know the vector OS would be, so we move from the origin and we go to S. So we know the point S is 6, 0. OS would simply be 6, 0. So PS would be PO, which we found to be negative 1, negative 5, plus OS, which we found to be 6, 0. So this will then be negative 1 plus 6 and negative 5 plus 0. This will then be negative 1 plus 6 would be 5, and negative 5 plus 0 would be a negative 5. And that would be the vectors for that. So let me erase this to answer the next question. So the next one says, part 2, determine the position vectors OG and OH given that G and H are midpoints for PQ and PS. So in order to get a better picture, let's draw this triangle. So here will be the vector P. So this is O. Let's call this one here Q. And let's call this one here S. So we found PQ to be this. And we found PS like this. So the next thing they want us to find OG, and they said that G and H are midpoints of PQ, so PQ would be this line here, so G would be halfway of that, so let's call here G. And H would be halfway of PS, which is, let's call that there. So they want us to find OG, so I put G over here, they want us to find OG. So in order to get OG, so OG, using the diagram, in order to get OG, we see we can move from O to P plus P to G. OP, we know OP would be, we found OP would be 1, 5 plus PG, we know PG is halfway of PQ. If PQ is 3, negative 6, and we know PG is half of that, and we know PG is half of that, so half of this, so half of 3 would be 1.5, and half of 6 would be simply and half of negative 6 would simply be a negative 3. So this would be plus 1.5, negative 3. And then we add this together, 1 plus 1.5, so this will be 1 plus 1.5, and 5 plus negative 3. This will then be 1 plus 1.5 would be 2.5. 5 plus negative 3, this will turn into a negative. So 5 minus 3 would be 2. So this would be the vector OG. So the next thing they want now, so let me erase this so I can get some space to work the other one. The next thing they want is OH. So in order to get OH, so we know H would be here. In order to get OH, we see we can move from O to P and then P to H. So we can move from, in order to get OH, we can move from O to P and then from P to H. This would be OP plus PH. So OP, we already know OP is 1, 5 plus PH, we know PH would be half of what PS is. Yeah, so we know PS is 5, negative 5. So we know half of this here would be 2.5 and a negative 2.5. So this will now be, so this would then be 1 plus 2.5 and 5 plus a negative 2.5, which would then give us 1 plus 2.5 would give us 3.5. And 5 plus or minus 2.5 would give us, this is like a 5 minus 2.5, which would give us 2.5. Hence, this would be the vector OH. And that is how we answer this question. And with that, this has brought me to the end of this video. So I trust that you have a good understanding of how to tackle these kind of questions. So they are very simple, but you just need to keep practicing. You just need to keep practicing and you will get perfect. So I'll see you in the next video in which I'll be tackling some more questions. Until then, take care and keep practicing.